I had a way then, losing it all on my own. I had a heart then, but
Hey guys, Husky-Flies back here with another video for you. So definitely been some big drone news going on lately. In this particular video, most specifically, we're going to be talking about the new drone at the Autel booth this year, which was, I can only imagine, extremely packed because they've released something many people are very excited about. This is the Autel Evo, a new folding drone coming out from Autel that is set to be released in Q1 to Q2 2018. They haven't released an exact date yet, but they basically said that they were finishing up some final touches on it before putting it to production. So if I had to guess, I would say it's going to be Q1 of this year, releasing along with a lot of other stuff. So what makes this drone special? Well, the only drone that has really come close to the size and maintained good quality video is probably the DJI Mavic, which surprisingly didn't have that much to announce thus far at CES, but I am sure more things are in the works there. This drone has been quoted as being the Mavic killer, and that is because it has many of the same features of the DJI Mavic, but it has an improved camera system over the Mavic. We're definitely going to have to wait for release to see if that's true, but I have to say the specs on it, from what they're releasing, do look pretty impressive. So the main thing I'd like to center on is the camera, because this is a big selling point of this drone. It has a 3.5 millimeter lens, 94 degrees field of view, has a focal ratio of f2.08, so it is going to be a fixed aperture, which is kind of standard. You come to expect that in most drones outside of very specific ones like, say, the Phantom 4 Pro. They've been quoted as saying is the same quality as X-Star Premium, but with better sensors, and that better sensors part refers to their package with the 1-inch sensor inside the camera, which is going to give it a very good dynamic range, but I'm going to get more into the price and the packages a little later. As for some of the other features and the sensor list, it has the primary forward camera. It has forward stereo cameras which assist in obstacle avoidance, so forward obstacle avoidance. Downward stereo cameras, which is set up very similar to DJI's vision positioning system. So it's two downward sonar, two downward optical flow cameras, which are sort of constantly looking at the ground and looking at the direction the ground is moving relative to the drone. So what that allows you to do is if you were ever in a position to fly this thing inside, it would make that a much safer experience. If it ever has any sort of GPS disconnect and it has enough light to use those downward facing cameras, then it's going to be able to hold a pretty steady position even without GPS. This is all kind of the same as what the Mavic has had, save for the upgraded camera, but it also has rear infrared sensors, so now it's going to have rear obstacle avoidance. In addition to that, Autel are claiming that this particular drone has a 3D computer vision mapping system that is basically going to allow it to not just stop for obstacles, but map its way around them. As the drone is flying along through the sky, it's going to be creating a 3D map of the world around it. So if you're in a field and two sides are covered by trees, but the other two sides are completely clear to fly in, and you spin that drone in a 360-degree rotation, as long as its sensors get eyes on those trees, it will remember that they are there and thus be safer and able to avoid them. So if you were to fly it into one of those trees, it's going to know, hey, there's a tree on my side, or hey, there's not. And in using that information, it's supposed to be able to assist itself in sort of navigating terrain and avoiding obstacles. Essentially having options other than just trying to fly over them, but actually fly around them. As for the basic specs of the drone, it is supposed to have a HD video downstream, nothing new to these things really. 4,300 milliamp hour battery with a 1 hour charge time, and they're quoting a 30-minute flight time. Now obviously in the practical world we all know you subtract about 3 or 4 minutes off that, so I would say probably closer to 26, 27 minutes, but that's still a very respectable time, especially for the portability and the size of this particular drone. Autel has also spoken about experimenting with putting a 360-degree camera on the Evo, but as far as I am aware, there is no sort of current video of this or any information about it at all. The only thing I would be able to say with certainty with that is that you are probably for sure going to increase the size, at least on the front of the drone, a little bit. But I imagine if they do manage to pull that off, it will certainly be very interesting, because that would be another new feature of a drone of this size, as none have had a 360-degree camera before. It would probably still remain relatively portable compared to larger drones such as the Phantom series. Some of the features of this new drone that have been stated, as we've already discussed, the 3D computer vision avoidance. It is supposed to have similar features to the X-Star Premium, including the orbit mode, GPS follow me mode, dynamic track viewpoint, as well as being able to program and fly waypoint missions. And I'm sure there's going to be some extra added on top of what the X-Star Premium itself had. For example, one thing that's another very unique aspect to this drone that I haven't really seen before is they're using this new 3D computer vision technology for forms of 3D mapping. So with most drones that you're using specifically for 3D mapping, you can do it, but you're going to have to purchase some sort of external software, and you're probably going to need some special hardware on the drone itself. It's usually a feature of much more expensive drones than where the Autel Evo is currently sitting at. But with this, you are going to be able to do all of this natively right from within the app. Speaking of the app, you're probably not going to be as required to carry your smart device along anymore, as the new controller Autel has released with this drone has a 3.3-inch OLED display built into it. For any of you out there who have used OLEDs, you know they are great in direct sunlight. They're very, very, very bright. And although 3.3 inches is sort of on the small side, it honestly kind of seems like something extra, not something you would expect out of a drone like this. So what that essentially means is, for those of you who own a DJI drone, there are a lot of drones out there outside of DJI that do it, but many of them require you to bring along a smart device, so your phone, your tablet, whatever, and that's actually how you access sort of your live view, your FPV view downstream from the camera recording on the drone, in addition to accessing a lot of functionality on it. With this 3.3-inch built-in display, they are saying that you're going to be able to do essentially everything from it that you could with an external smart device. So if your phone were to run out of battery, or you dropped it on some rocks or broke it or whatever, you forget it at home, you're not going to be out of flying your drone without the smart device, because the screen itself is going to be built into the controller as well. This drone is capable of recording up to 4K at 60 FPS. So definitely competing up there with things like the Phantom 4 Pro, for example. As far as resolution and frame rate, as far as quality goes, you're really going to have to wait and see. And I imagine in the long term, of course, the bigger drones are going to maintain the superior cameras. But this is definitely appears to be a big step up from the Mavic, which could only do 4K at 30, and furthermore could only do it at 60 megabits per second in code rate. So what exactly does this mean for the future? And furthermore, what does this mean for the original Mavic Pro? Well, specs-wise, this new drone has a similar flight time to the Mavic. They're touting an equal range of 7 kilometers or 4.35 miles. The camera definitely has the thumbs up for better camera specs. It's got extra sensors plus computer vision. And the Autel software versus DJI software, to tell you the truth, I've never owned an Autel drone, so I don't know exactly how they compare. But I do know the X-Star Premium, which is the only other consumer drone this company has released, got rave reviews. Very, very good reviews. So I would imagine they're about similar or better experience with the Autel software. You might even be able to say it's a better experience on Android, since I know the DJI specific software has a lot of problems when it comes to Android smart devices. So if you're someone that tends to use Android, this might be a better option for you. That being said, though, there are definitely some other things to take into consideration. The Mavic has been out for quite a while now, over a year, and has sort of been a tried and true method. It's established itself as the go-to portable folding up drone. versus Autel, which really their only previous drone they have released was the Autel X-Star Premium. Now everything I've heard about the X-Star Premium leads me to believe that this new Evo is going to be a great drone that flies stable and works well and all that too. But, you know, you never know. It's a new formula for Autel because they've never made a drone sort of in this size factor. And so you just probably not going to know more until the thing actually releases. But my point with this is that the Mavic is established, DJI is established. They've made lots of drones, probably been in the drone making business, probably the biggest company and definitely one of the longest running of all of those who are out there making drones right now. And people sort of know what to expect. You know, you have that brand loyalty where people are going to get the Mavic because they are already familiar with the software and they know exactly how everything works because they've owned a DJI drone before. The other thing to take into consideration here is not even Q1 of 2018 has passed yet, and a lot of people are suspecting DJI is going to pull the Mavic 2 out of their hat. So depending on the features of that and how it stacks up against the Evo, that will probably play a big part in the market this year as well. But generally speaking, I think the Autel Evo looks like an awesome drone. I think there are a lot of people that already own the Mavic that are probably going to be switching over to the Evo, especially if DJI does not pull a Mavic 2 or something similar out for us this year. There's definitely going to be a lot of people switching over from the Mavic to this new drone. As for the price point of the Evo, as far as I understand it, there are going to be two standard versions of the Evo. There's going to be one that starts at $999 US. It's going to include the battery, the controller, the charger, the drone, the usual stuff you expect to come with it, but it's going to have a more sort of standardized camera, I guess, more equivalent to the Mavics. To gain access to the 1-inch sensor, however, you're going to have to pay about an additional $300 on top of that, which will put the price point up at $12.99. Now, I just wanted to remark on this 1-inch sensor and how that's sort of a big deal, because the Mavic is a great drone, but part of the issue with it is because the camera is downsized and miniaturized so much, it did have to sacrifice some camera quality. It has about equivalent quality to the Phantom 4, and I mean the old Phantom 4, not the new Phantom 4 Advanced or Pro, which at this point is a few years old, so it's getting a little outdated. Where you would notice the most difference with the sensor is in the dynamic range. You're going to be able to have very light parts of a picture and dark parts of a picture in the same frame and be able to expose sort of equally across the whole frame better using the Evo than you would with, say, the old Mavic. Now, all of that being said, I'm not sure this is truly a fair comparison. After all, the Evo is coming out in 2018 and the Mavic is over a year old now. So again, I think we're really going to have to wait for the Mavic 2 to really decide who's going to be the winner this year in the market. I'm definitely excited about the release of this drone one way or the other, though, guys, because the more competent competitors we have like this on the market, that means the better drones that are going to be delivered to us as the end consumer. The lower prices we're liable to pay for that drone, and yeah, competition between these companies would be very, very healthy, as opposed to DJI, who has for the most part sort of dominated the market and sells for long time running. Anyways, just a sort of a short video update on the announcement of the Evo at CES 2018, and I will certainly be posting more videos of this drone and others as information comes along. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. As always, this is Husky-Flies. See ya.